All right, I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle from Washington tonight. The post-Americans, that's the focus of tonight's angle. The 9-hour raid at Mar-a-Lago, the perpetual expansion of the surveillance state on bogus grounds, the long pandemic lockdowns that harmed children, closed businesses and churches even, the endless re-upping of emergency COVID powers, the destruction of historical markers and statues, the use of big tech as proxy censors for the current regime. All of this, all of it points to one ugly, inescapable conclusion. Our government is being run by a cadre of powerful post-American forces. Our current political leadership acts as though our Constitution and the freedoms protected by that Constitution are no longer valid. There'll always be a reason for them to ignore our Constitution these days, like systemic racism. They'll talk climate change or another COVID variant, maybe gun violence, January 6th. And they won't explicitly say it, at least not yet, but they don't want us to live under a Constitution that leaves the primary decision-making to the people of the 50 states. Nor that they want the designation American citizen to really have any special meaning at all for any of us. So we'll retain any rights or privileges for being American citizens? No. Because if they believed in the sanctity of U.S. citizenship, they would enforce the border. They wouldn't leave it open for millions to enter and just stay here. But if the Constitution isn't what protects America, what will?
We're going to defend the rules-based international order that protects us all.
One of our defining missions is to strengthen the international rules-based order.
Our shared determination to defend the rules-based international order.
This is about the future of the liberal world order, and we have to stand firm.
Of course, there's no such thing as the liberal or rules-based international order they're all flapping their gums about. Because as we saw during COVID, when the you-know-what hits the fan, well, countries do what's in their own self-interest. Anyone remember when Germany banned the export of medical equipment during COVID? I remember that. So much for the rules-based international order. And of course, China, Russia, they're never going to agree to this nonsense anyway. Or if they did agree to some set of rules, they'd just say, okay, yeah, we agree, then we'd go on and cheat. Because this is how the real world works. Whether we're talking climate change or global internet taxation or trade, the path that the post-Americans want to take us down, it's going to ensure that we have less freedom, less prosperity, and less independence for all Americans. Now, the real power in this Soros kind of approved style fantasy land will belong to things like the WHO, the UN, the EU Commission on Human Rights, the World Economic Forum, and the real decisions will be left to nameless, faceless committees and commissions. And then those decisions will be carried out by the lackeys that operate here, people like Mark Milley, Anthony Fauci, Merrick Garland. And of course, these post-Americans have the benefit of an entire academic system that advances this narrative from pretty much kindergarten on up. And since we have almost no true independent press corps left in America, they're not going to investigate or expose any of this. Instead, they either cheer or play defense for the regime. So they're not going to inquire as to why 87,000 new IRS agents, why they're needed in America right now. Instead, they just ooh and ah about Biden's great week.
This has been Joe Biden's been on a hell of a run. He has gotten a lot done. An incredible amount done.
What Joe Biden has done, demonstrated competency. They can run on a contrast message of competency, and we get stuff done versus crazy.
Really caps off a pretty stunning 2 years for President Joe Biden's first 2 years in office.
Biden has had a long list of legislative wins during his first 2 years in office.
They pretend to care about norms and procedures, and they warned about how Trump's behavior led Americans to question our entire democratic system. It's always teetering on the edge. Yet they call it conspiratorial when anyone questions the propriety of a 9-hour raid of the home of Biden's possible 2024 opponent.
The Justice Department is returning to its historical position as a law enforcement agency above politics, trying to do the right thing.
Merrick Garland is the most careful, judicious, to a fault, some would say, Attorney General in this case.
To watch the base call for protests or chaos or dissent or disrespect for the FBI is a new horror and a new low. So I think their reaction the last 24 hours has been disgusting.
Well, but the disgusting truth is that they don't really believe that Trump should be protected by the rights enumerated in this Constitution. Because they have one set of standards and rules for Hillary Clinton and Hunter Biden, and then they have another set of rules for Trump and any of his supporters or people who work for him. And this is why if you really press them, these elitist snobs would prefer that Americans were forced to live under policies made in consultation with the EU and other countries. If they had their druthers, they'd have a central committee, maybe it would be in Brussels or Helsinki, and that would determine how much beef you should eat, how much AC you should be allowed to use, how far you should be allowed to drive and in what kind of car, even the language that you're allowed to use or opinions you're allowed to express online, or whether you should be able to own a firearm of any kind. And of course, they always use clever language, don't they, about their mission and their goals.
Reinventing democracy to fit the challenges of the 21st century may sound like a tall order, but this is the mission of our generation.
Populism is trying to destroy the democratic institutions as courts and rule of law, but also the free press and so on.
If we want to have democracy, it means dealing with climate change, first of all.
Most in elected office won't be so brazen as to say what they really believe, that it's time to leave behind our old ideas of these quaint old notions of productivity and merit, of the American dream. Leave that all behind. Because now it's about lowering your expectations. And they're going to use Orwellian language to make this transition, as they like to call it, seem wonderful and even noble.
There's no doubt we expect growth to be slower than last year, but that's consistent with the transition to a stable, steady growth.
We are in a transition. We had this strong economic growth, a transition into stable and steady growth.
Transitioning to more steady, sustainable growth.
The defining question of the next few years will be the following. Will America remain an independent country in which the federal government is subject to and constrained by the traditional restrictions of our Constitution? Or will we basically become second-class subjects in a global order where the key decisions are made by people that no American ever voted for? When you think about it, after 13 long years, our populist movement has finally begun to unify most Republicans behind the traditions of American independence and our constitutional republic. But meanwhile, the Democrats, the never-Trumpers, they've kind of formed their own alliance in support of this liberal international order. We have our voters and we have our enthusiasm, and we have policies that actually have worked for over 200 years. They have their bureaucrats, their big tech plutocrats, and their media apparatchiks, along with policies that are leaving us poorer and weaker. Many Americans, I think, were naive to think that the left-wing extremists would settle down when statues of Robert E. Lee were taken down, and with Trump out of office, they thought that things would return to normal, the normal course of things. But the angle warned you that all that was just the beginning, and that their plans go far beyond sabotaging Trump in 2024. This has always been about sabotaging an entire nation, our way of life. So will the post-Americans win? Well, that's up to you and how hard you work between now and 2024. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.